Okay, hello, loves, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you are a returning guest. I've been thinking about what am I going to talk about, and I have so many different things. I said, well, I might as well just, stick with telling about my ratchet past, right? This story is kind of embarrassing, like all of them, but I decided that I'm going to go ahead and share this particular story. So, once upon a time, many years ago, I had a situation. Well, the reason why I decided to tell this story is because this is like a real life situation that happened that I could have been gone, could have been out of here, but thank God for seeing fit to allow me to live through this situation. This situation is not something to say that God will protect you if you are in sin. If you are knowingly in sin, then I'm not saying that the Lord is going to protect you. This is my story. This is what happened with me. And yes, because we are a child of God and all that stuff. But if you're sinning and you know you're sinning, then I encourage you to stop. And this is not a pass to say, oh, the Lord is going to protect me in my sin. If I would have known the things that I know now, and if I would have grown spiritually the way I have now with the Lord, then I'm pretty sure that he would not protect me in my sin, but he would allow the consequences to reach me. And so I don't want to encourage anyone to sin like this. And I don't want to make it seem like, oh, the Lord was okay with me sinning, because he wasn't. But in this particular situation, he didn't allow me to reap the worst end of the consequences that I could have reaped. So anyway, like I said, it's embarrassing, but let's get into it. So a long time ago, I think if you haven't heard my beaten and bruised story about the domestic violence abuse, and then it goes into talking about the situation where I was always pimped and all that. So those videos, this happened shortly after those situations. And yeah, and I'm kind of just going back in because, like I said, I don't have the mental capacity to go back and relive all these situations and then get on camera and tell it, because then I get on camera, I might miss something, forget something, whatever. And then also I just want it to be authentic. So I'm just like, I'm going to say what I remember, and I'm just going to go in here and do it. So anyway, like I said, long time ago, I was out in the streets and out in the sheets. Okay. And so I had a boyfriend, and me and my boyfriend, we had been talking for a little while or whatever. And so at this point, we did not have a place to stay of our own. So I think he might have been staying with family. I might have been staying with family. I think it was after I had left the girl's house, that my coworker's house that I was staying at with the pimp mom and all that stuff. I think this is like some months after I left their house, but now I'm in between because I don't really have anywhere to stay. So I'm staying with some family members, I think, and I think he was staying with family members. So anyway, we was hanging out, whatever, and we was out there doing things that, it really, the word says, if you're not married, you shouldn't be doing, but we was doing them. And don't do it no more. Like I said, it's been a long time, but at this time we were. And so we were looking for somewhere to basically get busy. And we decided we were riding around, and I think it was cold. I think it was snow on the ground and everything. And so we were riding down the alley, and the way that the alleys were made, the garages were detached, and they were on the outside was to drive into the garage, you drive down the alley and you drive into the garage. So we saw an open garage that was detached from somebody's home, and it was late. It was really late. I don't know what time, maybe, sometime after midnight or something like that. And so we said, well, okay, let's pull in here and let's get busy, because ain't nobody here, and it's late. So that means that they're probably, this is probably open. We can just pull in here, get it in, and then we can kind of get on our way. Now, mind you, on top of this, we have a van. I have to tell this story another time, but we have a van that has no window in the back, right? So we're in the van with no window in the back. And then I also was going to tell about the story about how I got root feed and all that stuff. This is like that's a whole different story. So I'm not going to go into that right now. But we on this night, we are pulling into somebody's thing to get busy. So we're thinking it's late, nobody's coming. So we start getting busy, and like maybe 3, 4, 5 cars drive up into this alley while we're in the middle of getting busy. And we don't have a window. So of course we can hear. And so we look back and we are blocked in the garage, the doors up or whatnot. And so we hear people talking and we're like, oh my gosh. And so like right in the middle of it. And so we see the cars. So like as we kind of walk towards the back of, because we were in the van. So we walk towards the back of the van, you can see the other cars. They're like on the side and their headlights is there. So we see a guy walking up and he's like, man, hold up. And he, just is upset because he's like, who is in my garage? And he has a gun. And oh, am I supposed to say that? Okay. And he has, a weapon or whatnot. And so he has his hand, and he's like, and so we hear them talking and we're like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So we jump and we're like trying to get ourselves together, get our clothing and everything together so that we can, get out of there. And so without even being able to get our clothes together, I jump in the driver's seat and we like back up. And so when we back up, there is like, maybe it was either 4 or 5 cars, and there is 2 cars, and then it's people out. They're ready to start, because they think that we're here we like set them up or something like that. And so there's multiple people who have their hand on their, metal pieces, and they're ready to start, letting it go into our vehicle. And we just like panicked, and we were like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And then, I don't know. I'm so grateful that they did not start letting it out, because the way that we were in there and the way that they had us, like they were on the sides of us, we probably would not have came out of that alive, because the way it was, and there was multiple of them that had, these metal pieces. And so, yeah, so I was just like, oh my gosh. And I just like backed out really quick. And I think that my boyfriend was trying to tell, like they were saying, so, and I was just like, I don't even remember if we said something to them. I don't remember if it was like my adrenaline was just going so fast. It was just like, oh my gosh, we got to get out of here. And I don't remember if we like said something to them. I want to say that my boyfriend was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that somebody walked up, and so they kind of saw what we were doing. Not like saw us in the moment, but they saw that like that's what we were doing, because we didn't have on our, bottoms or whatever. And so the windows were clear, but like I said, the back thing was busted out or whatnot. And so I think that is what kind of helped them to like think like, oh, okay, they were just trying to, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I can't remember if my boyfriend said like, man, like we were just trying to, get it in or what. I don't know what happened. All I know is just that we almost was out of here. We almost like within a couple more, if things would not have happened the way that they did, and if the Lord did not see fit to, protect us in that moment, we definitely could have been gone, because it was a serious situation. You have people thinking that they're about to be set up. They could have just came up and just started, and we're technically in their property. And what had happened was they had all went out. So they were coming back from the club. But I told you it was late. So I don't know what time it was. It was sometime in the early morning hours, 1, 2, 3, whatever the case was. And they ended up coming back from the club. And so that's why their garage was empty, because they were out at the club. But by us trying to partake in pleasure that we weren't supposed to be partaking in, because we was not married, we put ourselves in a situation where we could have actually, lost our lives because of trying to do something like that. And so I always like those near misses, those near death moments where it's just like, wow, like how dangerous was that? Like we literally almost got ourselves taken out because we were trying to do something sinful that we were not supposed to be doing. And at the time, of course, my mind wasn't on that, his mind wasn't on that, but we literally almost got ourselves taken out at that time just for that reason. And also I remember too, so we were staying with family, and the thing is that I think we had stayed out. One of us had, I think he had to be in the house at a certain time, but staying with family. So I think he was staying with like his grandmother or something. And so at a certain time, it was like the door is locked. If you ain't in here, you ain't getting in. Like, I don't care what you talk about, you're not getting in. And so I think that particular night he had gotten locked out, and I don't know, maybe I got locked out too. I don't remember, but it was like we couldn't get in. And so it was just like, oh, well, what else are we going to do besides go get it in? And, of course, we were smoking weed and, drinking and doing things like that at that time too. And we were pretty young or whatever, but still, the point is that the Lord protected us, even though we were not doing things that were pleasing to the Lord. And in everything, I'm grateful that he protected us. I'm grateful that he allowed us to see another day. I'm grateful that they didn't even shoot, because even if they would have shot and even if it went in the car, but it didn't hit us, you know what I'm saying? Like, even if they would have did that, even with them allowing us to drive off, because, thankfully, you sometimes, you just pull your stuff down and you just, but like thankfully that particular day we didn't just pull it down. We actually took the off and took off the bottoms. And so I think that is what kind of helped them to have some type of like, okay, oh, they trying to, what I'm saying? But at the same time, still, do not put yourself in these kind of situations. Don't sin. And yeah, I just say the Lord is gracious and he's kind, but at the same time, he is not to be mocked. And so for those people who are out here partaking in, that particular type of thing where you're not married and you're with someone, I encourage you definitely not to continue in that lifestyle. I mean, if I think about it, I probably have plenty of stories that I could tell about stuff like that, where I was out doing things and it was, I could have lost my life. I could have gotten hurt. I could have gotten, it taken from me. I could have gotten all kinds of things could have happened. And it's, I just encourage like whoever is out there, like, do not partake in things like that if you have not made a covenant between you and the Lord and this person, because we do reap what we sow. And so, just because we didn't have, the metal pieces come at us that night doesn't mean that we didn't reap other consequences of our actions. And, even now, years later, I feel like there's still ramifications that carry on for the decisions that we make, no matter, even if we're younger. It was years ago, over a decade, but the decisions that we make today can affect our tomorrow, and it also can affect our next decade, our next, few decades. It can affect the next generation. It can affect, up to 4 generations from us. And so we definitely want to make sure that we are trying to honor God in the best way that we can. So I just encourage you, don't do that. Do not do that. If you can't, the thing is, we didn't have a place to do it, and we should have just left it at that. But nope, we had to go and try to find somewhere to try to get it in because our windows was clear, and we was like, oh, and so yeah, just don't do that. Okay, just stay out of the sheets, stay out of the things that what I'm saying. So just stay away from that, and um and just try to live the way that the Lord has called us to live, right? So anyway, that was my little testimony for today, because I just feel like, I'm like, man, we was so close to, like, and I know people who have gotten, you know what I'm saying? Like, they could have pulled him out the car. They could have pulled me out of the car. Ain't even got on no bottoms. You know what I'm saying? They could have pulled us out the car. They could have beat us. They could have took, you know what I'm saying, you already given it up. They could have, you know what I'm saying, they could have took their time with me. Thank God they didn't. They could have, they could it anything could have happened. You know what I'm saying? They could have, took one of our lives. They could have took both of our lives. They could have even let their metal pieces off, and then we could have been injured, paralyzed, brain dead. All kinds of different things could have happened that night that did not happen by the grace of God and the mercy of God. But, it still wasn't right for us to be doing that. And so anyway, like I said, don't think that the Lord is going to turn a blind eye to the fact that you are not following what his word says. Not what I'm saying, but what his word says. When he says that you should be married and in a covenant to do this, then don't take that lightly. Don't think that just because, oh, well, he's not going to do nothing because he hasn't done nothing all these years. That was just one of the times that we partook in that. There was multiple times, and like I said, there's multiple other consequences that have come. There's multiple other ways that we have reaped what we sowed, but the Lord was gracious enough to allow us to keep our life. So anyway, just wanted to kind of just go through and share that, and just encourage you to, if you out here and you in the middle of that, and it don't matter if you're in a relationship, it don't matter if you've been with the person for several years, it don't matter all of that. Just, do you want to please the Lord, or do you want to please your flesh? And so we always want to aim to please the Lord, and what the Lord says should be what we follow. It shouldn't be like, oh, well, I just want to do this, I want to do that. Do you, if you're saying that you're a Christian, do you want to please God? And what will you do to please God? Because if you're pleasing yourself and you're pleasing man, you're pleasing the other person, then that's not the way of what a Christian, should be doing. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. I got a lot more of little stories like that. So maybe one time, I guess I'm gonna come back and talk about the situation with being roofied and how that, and then also the y'all want to know how the window got busted on the car. Okay, if you want to know that, comment below and say busted window, and I'm gonna come out and tell you about the busted window on the car. And I also got some other stories about that, because the Lord is good. Okay, because there was some stuff that happened with this busted window. This window was busted, not this car, but that particular car. The window was busted for a minute. It was busted for about a year, I think, and we went through some stuff. Okay, so if you want to hear about busted window, go ahead and put that in the comments. And if you want to hear about the roofie situation, which I had mentioned on another video, I think I mentioned that on the Beaten and Bruised, or on the pimped one or whatever. But anyway, I'm gonna come out with that one. So also say that, so that I can go get those done sooner rather than later. And thank you for tuning in. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and come back and watch more videos. And please, yeah, do what the Lord is having you to do. Okay. All right. Bye, loves.